Nana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiara Banacha Ari Yamuna Tiara Banacha Ari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Nana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiyara Banachari Yamuna Tiyara Banachari. So we will say the invocation before we start class, and you get a choice for the invocation. It can either be the first four words of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the first four words of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, or it can be the mantra that Dhruva Maharaj chanted in the forest. And I guarantee, whatever you picked, I will chant that mantra. And here it goes. Listen carefully. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yeah. Yes, Lucian, that was one of my trick questions. The reason I said that is to show how Prabhupada and Krishna can accomplish many things by the same action. The mantra that we chanted is the first four words of the first canto. It's also the first four words of the second canto, and it's the mantra that Dhruva Maharaj chanted in the forest. So we see in Krishna's pastimes, sometimes one action can accomplish many things, and the same thing Prabhupada does in his actions. So today we're going to tell a little story about Hawaii, in Honolulu particularly, but not just any story in Hawaii. It's about what happens with His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada after he left Fiji and landed in Honolulu. Anyone want to hear this? Good. That's why you're all here, right? Okay. Chapter 4. Honolulu, May 3rd, 1976. Due to crossing the international date line, we arrived in Honolulu at 7 a.m. On the same date, we left Fiji. Pushta Krishna Maharaj and I were careful to avoid the same mistake we made coming to Australia. So we assigned all the baggage to our own arrival cards. Srila Prabhupada was able to proceed directly through U.S. Customs without problem. Sukadev Das, the president, Siddhasarupananda Maharaj, and a small group of devotees met him outside, draping him with fragrant garlands of frangipani. Some young children eagerly stepped forward with offerings of fresh fruit. One young fellow clutched a whole papaya, which Srila Prabhupada received with a bright smile and Hare Krishna. I had considerable difficulty with customs and was unnecessarily harassed by an overly detailed inspection of my baggage and distinctly unfriendly officers. I found out later that Guru Kripa Maharaj, whose Namhata party travels with gorgeously worshipped Gaur-Nitai deities, once had all the deity jewelry worth many thousands of dollars confiscated here. The customs had accused them of smuggling and demanded penalties. A few other fringe devotees have been caught with other types of genuine contraband, and thus these officials specifically target all Hare Krishna devotees. ISKCON Panchatattva Temple, 53 Kohila Way, Honolulu. The temple is an impressive two-story wooden mansion situated on about an acre of land. On permanent loan to ISKCON from Ambarish Das, the great-grandson of auto magnate Henry Ford. His location, about halfway up into the picturesque Honolulu Hills, provides an unusual blend of simultaneously rain and shine. High up in the hills, it rains a lot. And down on the ocean front, it is always clear and sunny. Here the deities and the devotees enjoy the best of both. A majestic banyan tree dominates the back garden. The devotees grow their own vegetables around the ground, and flowers and mangoes, pineapples and dobs, young coconuts, seem abundant. Outside the front entrance to the building are the biggest tulsi plants I have ever seen. They stand at least 7 or 8 feet tall. Our Hawaii Raja was the first to successfully cultivate and worship Srimati Tulsi Devi. Due to the sincere efforts of Govinda Dasi, one of Srila Prabhupada's earliest disciples. Upon arrival, Prabhupada went into the temple room to see the beautiful Panchatattva deities, the only ones in the movement, about 3 feet tall. They are fashioned from paper mache, again, the product of Govinda Dasi's devotion. Handing his cane to Siddhasarup Maharaj, Prabhupada stepped forward and offered his prostrated obeisances before their lordships. Bharat Das then offered him Charanamrita, and because there was no towel, Sukadev held out the end of his dhoti for Prabhupada to wipe his hands on. After a lively kirtan and a reception from the excited devotees, Prabhupada gave a short talk about the second verse of Sri Upadesh Amrita. He complimented the devotees on their enthusiasm and assured them that if they follow the regulative principles as given by Rupa Goswami, their lives would be successful. He also stressed the value of his books. I'll speak something you may forget, but if you read from a book, you will get good opportunity to understand the philosophy. So our principle is to study the books as well as to distribute the books. People will be benefited and their life will be successful. This is Krishna consciousness movement. Thank you very much. So we'll make a short comment on this and then we'll go on. The Panchatattvas, of course, are very important deities. We have them in Laguna Beach now. And of course, they are in Sridham, Mayapur, where it's not just Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, but also Gadadhar and Advaita and Srivas, the five truths. And they're very special in Laguna Beach. And of course, in Mayapur, where this was predicted by Lord Nityananda, that from this place, he told Jiva Goswami, Ye Abhuta Mandir, that a big mandir will be built here. And from this place, people will come from countries all over the world. And at that time, the only places they were coming from was the Mughals coming from Turkey and Persia and Arabia to conquer India. But they did come from other places. And now we are trying to build that. When I go there in the end of February, they will have the opening of the Nrsimha wing. And if people live up to their pledges, we will open the temple within a couple of years. So Prabhupada talking about Rupa Goswami says we are Rupanugas, the followers of Rupa Goswami. Who knows a book that Rupa Goswami wrote? What is it? Nectar of Devotion. Who's read the Nectar of Devotion? No one else has read it? They say that's the problem with these books. If you don't read them, you won't find out what's inside them. Also, if you don't read them, you don't find out about all the bad things that happen to people who don't read them, because they give us this chance to get Krishna Prema, and they warn us about the things that are dangerous. Sometimes they're warning, like you see the packet of cigarettes, it says caution may be dangerous to health. Sometimes they show pictures of things, and because of that, people never smoke. It might reduce it, but at least there's some warning. But we have books that have whole warnings about all of these things. And the Nectar of Devotion particularly starts with the process of devotion, and then it goes into explaining some wonderful things about Krishna's personality and Krishna's Leela. So if you want to read a wonderful book, of course we start with Bhagavad Gita, but this is only about 428 pages. It behooves you to look this over. And of course the Nectar of Instruction was what Prabhupada was reading from. Prabhupada then retired to his quarters. They are directly above the temple, and they are lightly furnished, well lit and spacious, with polished wooden floors and wood-paneled ceilings, creating an old-world elegance. A sun deck built atop the carport over the front entrance adjoins the bathroom, making an ideal spot for Prabhupada's massage. It adjoins the bathroom. Oh yes. Govinda Dasi and a few others accompanied Prabhupada in. She told him that her husband, Gaur Sundar Das, another of Prabhupada's disciples, who with Govinda Dasi initiated the preaching here, now has an ashram on the island of Hawaii, where he lives with his second wife. Govinda Dasi asked Prabhupada if he would see him and try to heal the rift that had developed between Gaur Sundar and ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada immediately agreed and will send him an invitation. Siddhaswarupananda Goswami, another resident of Hawaii, came back this afternoon for a meeting with Srila Prabhupada. Without mentioning the violent incident that took place in Mayapur last month, Prabhupada continued to underscore the need for unity. They discussed the difficulties of preaching and the resistance of materialists. Prabhupada says as the movement goes stronger, demons will try more vigorously to stop it. He said that even Krishna faced constant death threats, and one day they may even attempt to kill him. But if we remain spiritually strong, even though ISKCON is only just in its infancy, no real damage can be done. The only thing that can weaken the movement, he said, was ourselves. So now if we become weak by factioning, then that is not good. We must be strong enough. You do not expect that this movement will be accepted. But if we remain sincere, even if we are feeble, newborn, nobody can kill us. That is a fact. Just like Krishna, when he was 3 months old, attempt was made by Putana to kill him. But the Putana was killed. A big demon, gigantic, 6 miles long, was killed by a small child playing on the breast and sucking the life. That is Krishna. So Krishna can take care of the demons. But Prabhupada said, we'll give you a multiple choice. It's a trick question. Prabhupada said that we would please him by just ignoring everyone else and concentrating on your own spiritual life. Answer A. Answer B, by fighting with the devotees as often as you can. Or answer C, cooperating with the other devotees. Which one will we show our love to Prabhupada by? Which one? Number C, not fighting every chance you get? Disagree? There was the Mad magazine a long time ago, there was the Alfred E. Newman. His philosophy is, whatever it is, I'm against it. So, many things, we know what we're for. We know we're for the spreading of Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada says in one purports, in the 12th chapter, the devotee is peaceful because he does not have to take the side of so many people. There may be many different political things, and we find that it behooves us not to take the side, but to try to enter Krishna consciousness into there and to try to get along. Gaurachandra had a rift, and Siddhar Sarup had a little different philosophy. He's a little bit hippie-oriented, and devotees came to Prabhupada and says, oh, he does things a little differently. And Prabhupada said, do they chant Hare Krishna? And Prabhupada, they said yes, and Prabhupada said, then he is our friend. So we find that sometimes in our movement in different countries, they may do things a little differently. It's like I noticed in Dubai, it was hard to come here and to do the Guru Puja because in Dubai, they do it online. And there, because it's a fast-paced working pace, they go faster. They don't sing here you tend to drag the words out, Shri Guru Charana Padma, and then you drag the ashas, asha. There they go faster, and instead of doing it twice with repeating, they go through one time. So you really got to get on it to do the arti, because it's, asha, and then gone. Here they seem to drag it longer, asha. So it easily takes like 5-6 times as long. There you got to get those objects going. But here they like to do them a little longer, add extra letters, drag some out. So it's all still the same worship of the Guru, and we don't fight a big fight about this out in the parking lot. That's what we should do. We should fight about things and figure out what we were fighting about later. Is that it? No. We have to try to get along. We think of reasons to get along, like Prabhupada is saying here. Prabhupada was extremely tolerant in this. When he was in New York, he would have to cook for the devotees and do all the things in the beginning, and finally they said, can we help you? Prabhupada says, I'm glad you asked. And in the beginning, it's like Prabhupada says, it's a long road from the beginning of karma yoga to the end of bhakti yoga. So it's a difficult thing because we have to get people started. So is our mission to get people started easily, or is our mission to take people to pure devotional service? What is it? It's both. See, it was another trick question. But we have to get people started. Just like you may have a child that you may want him to become an aeronautical engineer. So you start him in the aeronautics school, or does he go to the first standard where he learns A and B and C? So even though the goal is pure devotional service, sometimes to get people started is a difficult matter. Prabhupada said in the beginning, he didn't introduce the regulative principles. He just get people chanting. And at a time when they come in, then it's important. So we have to keep both of these ideas in tension. That we want people to get to pure devotional service. We want initiates to take the initiate vows. But in the beginning, like Prabhupada would say, you go in like a needle and out like a plow. You just get people to come and watch what we're doing. Take a look at it. See how good it looks. Like we don't argue that our restaurant is better than the Debonair Pizza. Debonair sounds like it should be a clothing store. But I haven't shopped there for clothing or pizzas. But do we argue about that our restaurant is better than the Debonair Pizza? Or do we ask people, come and try what we have? We try it. Because you can't taste the honey by licking the outside of the bottle. We don't convince them. Just like the man who's selling the car, what does he do with the car to sell it to them? What does he have them do? Someone must know. What do? They take it on a test drive, right? See how it drives. How does it shift? How does the steering wheel go? How does it turn? Does the turning radius good? So we have people come, and even though we want people to surrender their lives, if they just come and watch what we do, that's a good start. So we have to be like a school where we have postgraduate studies, and we also have a kindergarten where they may come and just play with toys. And we have to know the art of how to get people interested and then fan that spark. Because Prabhupada says in a purport in the 12th chapter of Gita that without faith and love, you cannot think of Krishna even for a moment. So if they get at least a little faith and love. We have this story with Magrari the hunter. Narada Muni wanted him to become a pure devotee. And he was half killing these animals with arrows. And eventually Narada Muni wanted to bring him to pure devotional service. But what was the first thing he asked him? What was it? Just completely kill the animals. Now that doesn't sound like much. You want him to completely kill them instead of half kill them? But for him, it was like when I told Jayapataka Swami that he had one disciple that seemed to ask more of him than he was willing to give. And I said, how do you reconcile this? He said, well, it's kind of like when the sannyasi came to the door with the cloth, and the miser went and got coal and threw it in his cloth. And the sannyasi says, thank you so much. The miser says, how can you thank me? I threw coal in your cloth. And the sannyasi says, because you're such a miser that any giving you do at all is good. It doesn't matter what it is. That's like when we go out to do books, people may give a small amount and take a book. We want them to study the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, but if they take a small and just get started, that's a good thing. So we have to try to get as many people started while we move them along, just like a school. Every year they're getting people in kindergarten, and the kindergarten, last year's people are in first grade. Last year's first grade is in the second grade. So we have to know how to get people started, how to move people into intermediate positions, and how to also take them to pure devotional service. And this is where Prabhupada succeeded, because like his godbrother would go give a lecture to the Indian people who already knew, and they say this is like preaching to the choir. You go to the choir and say, we should sing for Christ. And they go, yeah, we should. Say, look, I did so well because I got the choir to agree with me that singing for Christ is good. But can you get people who've never done this before to give it a try? And can you get the people who've done a little to do even more? And can you get people to totally surrender their life? This is what Prabhupada was doing. He did all of them, and that's the magic in it. So, and this is what he's doing with the different factions. Now we try to keep people in the fold. We don't argue over the differences, but try to help people grow in Krishna consciousness. So, let's see here. The other day, I have explained why a guru is accepted as good as the Supreme Personality of God. Arche Vishnu Shiladir Gurushu Naranatir Narataki. If anyone thinks Archa Vigra, the deities, as made of stone, made of earth, or made of something material, the guru, spiritual master, is an ordinary man. These are forbidden. So why guru is to be considered? Shakshadaritvena Samastra Shastra, exactly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That reason is given here. The reason is that he is giving the Krishna knowledge. Therefore, he is as good as Krishna. Even though his family member or his friend is thinking, oh, he has now become guru, so still he should be considered the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That reason is also given here, that even Krishna was taken as an ordinary man. But does it mean that he has become ordinary man? Similarly, our movement, it may appear just like other movement, but because the movement is giving Krishna, so it is as good as Krishna. This is the philosophy, Ajnana. It may appear to others. There are so many movements, and hippies have taken another shape, but it is not that. It is actually Krishna. So long it adheres to the principles as enjoined, as we have accepted. Otherwise, it is another movement. This same man is guru, so long as he gives the real knowledge of Krishna. And the same man is ordinary man, as soon as he cannot give that. The same thing, just like a stone doll, when it is worshipped according to the regulative principle Krishna, then the same doll kept in the sculptor's showroom, it is stone. It's funny, like some of the Christians accuse us of idol worship. If you go to the church and there's the statue of Christ, what is the difference between yesterday, today, and tomorrow? The clothing of how Christ is decorated. How will it be different? It's the same. They don't change any of it. Just like there's a statue of Gandhi in the park, same every day, right? And here we notice that on certain days, they change the clothing of the deities. Is that true? Or is it the same every day? You know which days they change the clothing? Any day that ends in Y, we change the clothing of the deities. Have you noticed that? Every time they open at greeting the deities, it's a different clothing? How would it be if every time you, oh, it's the same clothing, right? There's temples like that in India, Prabhupada says, where they put the deity on display, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's the same clothing. Starts to look a little dirty, the same clothing. But it's funny how we offer the food to the deity at least several times a day, and we offer the artiks and we sing to the deities and change the clothing every day. Then how do we get accused of idol worship? We have to try to respect them, just like if they say, well, what we have is a religious icon, but what you have is an idol. But how can that be? If they get to have a religious icon and they don't do much with it, then certainly we can have the Archa Vigraha form, especially if we treat it with the devotion that this is non-different from Krishna. Then Krishna will appear. If we treat Krishna like he's not there, then fine. He's not going to force us. We don't have to see Krishna. But what we have is obviously, if any of it is idol worship, it's not us. So, moving along here. Also along with this shows how as long as it adheres to the principles enjoined as we have accepted, otherwise it is another movement. You know, Krishna explains this about the Guru in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Tat vidi pani prashnena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te gyanam gyanani vas tat vidarshanaha. That one should approach the self-realized spiritual master, inquire from him submissively. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge to you because he's seen the truth. And this is all well, but someone can come along and they do this. I am a self-realized spiritual master, and I've come up with a new process of religion. It's called worshiping me. Do they do this? They become God and you worship them. But even though Krishna has said this in the beginning of this 4th chapter, where he explains how he imparted this knowledge to the sun god Vivishvan, Vivishvan imparted to Manu, and Manu to Ikshvaku, and he says, Evam parampara praptamimam rajarishu, that this knowledge was imparted in disciplic succession. So we're fine and well, the knowledge is imparted in disciplic succession, right? We don't have to be pure ourselves because the knowledge was imparted in disciplic succession. Is that correct? Yes, it is a trick question, is it? It's like the knowledge may be pure, and you're bringing me the book and the pure knowledge, but on the way you lose the book? Say, I lost the book, but the book has pure knowledge. How much good will that do me? You say, I was given the book that has all the transcendental knowledge, but on the way over I lost it. Now what good is it? It's like you may have 10 kilos of gold. They're worth something, right? But if on the way over you lost them, first they won't believe you, right? But if you lost them, what are they worth now? So Krishna says after that in the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore what happens? The science as it is appears to be lost. And that's why we're very careful that people may do the things a little differently. They may extend it out here with the Asha longer than in America. And in Dubai, they may do it one time through over the internet without repeating. But the idea is that we're chanting the same mantra and we have the same idea. We don't add some new philosophy. We keep in contact with this. That's why it behooves us to read these books. Because if you don't read them, then you won't know. If you haven't read the Bhagavad Gita and I start quoting to you from the 19th chapter, you know what it says in the 19th chapter, right? It says that the money should be controlled by Kshudi. You can go and tell them that. Yes, the 19th chapter says. That's like some of these people who they think Prabhupada had some different instructions. They quote the instructions from the missing tapes. But if there are such missing tapes, if they're missing, how can you quote from it? Right? It's like the lost scriptures. If they're lost, you can't quote from this. So we have to go by what's been given here and understand directly. Otherwise, we will believe the 19th chapter. So we have to study Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. And that's why now the person should study Prabhupada's books and then find someone who can teach you in the same thing. And then you see, oh yes, this person is teaching the same thing. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. Otherwise, when they start quoting from 19th chapter, you think, wow, this guru is better than the others because he has more chapters than the other people. Is that true? No, it means that he's Swami Kankaktananda from the Hodgepodge Society, right? Okay. If we keep our movement pure, then we are strong as Krishna. And as soon as we deviate from it, immediately ordinary. This is the secret. Now it is up to us how to keep it pure. Then no enemy can kill us. Nobody can kill. So that purity is wanted. Then it will be success. Follow the rules and regulations, worship the deity, and chant Hare Krishna mantra as we have given. Then you will remain as strong as Krishna. And if we manufacture some ideas, then it is gone. Krishna cannot be manufactured. Krishna is Krishna. You cannot manufacture another competitor of Krishna. That is not the way. Then failure. So that is my request, that this movement is actually the real movement to raise the human society And if we create faction, then the movement will be less strong and will not act very nicely. Let's see, a letter sent by Adi Keshav Swami from New York was waiting for Srila Prabhupada. He gave a report on the preaching activities there, a brief financial statement, and some information regarding the house on Ring Road in New Delhi, which Prabhupada saw before we left. The first good news was the confirmation of the New York Rath Yatra. We have been granted a permit for the Rath Yatra parade on July 18th at 2 p.m. The parade will progress down 5th Avenue to Washington Square Park, which even now is packed up with people every day, as 5th Avenue is the biggest Sunday sightseeing spot in New York. Our parade should captivate the common mood. Madhavisa Maharaj, Jayananda, and myself could not bear the thought of just one cart. So we are building 2 more for the festival. By Krishna's grace, they will be finished on time in preparation for Prabhupada's visit. They are readying his accommodations on the 11th floor of the building and making a garden on the roof. A festival truck program tours the city with blaring kirtan, waving banners, and abundant prasadam, announcing the upcoming festival to crowds of people throughout the city in great jubilation. The new 3-foot-high form of Jagannath is being carved and painted. His financial report indicated that they are getting on top of things, but at the expenses of their remittance to the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. He said that the previous temple administration had badly neglected the finances and were spending far more each month than their income, resulting in a debt of $56,000. To this, they have another $40,000 in monthly overhead, including mortgages, maintenance, and BBT, bad debt, and loan repayments. The Radha Damodar party, formerly under Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Vishnujanand Swami, is now being run out of New York. And a portion of their collections are going off to pay the temple's past debts. As well as this, many airports, which were primary book distribution spots for the Radha Damodar Sankirtan party, are now legally closed for Sankirtan. So the overall BBT remittances from the party are greatly reduced from just a few months ago. Adi Keshava did give his assurance, though, that they would continue to lead the pace in donations to the book fund. On the bright side, he reported that the temple devotees are now collecting enough to maintain the outgoing operation without the help of the bus parties. Finally, he informed Prabhupada that the State Department has indicated it would look favorably at our application for purchase of its property at Ring Road, New Delhi. Although it seems application Srila Prabhupada made in New Delhi has not yet reached Washington. Prabhupada was pleased with the report, especially the news about Rath Yatra. He confirmed his intention to attend and added a cautionary line about the carts. Make the carts very strong. Not that while procession is going on, the wheel breaks on the cart. It is better to have one first-class cart. The cart in Philadelphia was done very nicely. If you are unable to make 3 strong carts, then make at least one very nicely. But if you can make 3 very strong, then I have no objection. Srila Prabhupada didn't comment on the finances, but he was concerned that the application for the new building in Delhi had failed to reach the State Department. He sent a copy of the original application to Adi Kesha and instructed her to make sure it gets to the official concerned in Washington. He also asked to make an appointment for him to meet the official in July. Then, in his characteristically thorough way, he sent a letter directly to the official, enclosing another copy of the application, as well as a letter to Tejas Das, the New Delhi Temple president, acting Tejas to check into the matter and then inform him before he leaves Hawaii. You see that some of them think, oh, Prabhupada didn't do this strategic planning. Why are they doing it? But you see, Prabhupada here, they'd already applied to the State Department. Number one, that's been done. Number two, he's asking Adi Keshava about it. Number three, he's sending a letter. Number four, he wants to meet with the official. And number five, he sent a copy to Tejas asking him to check into the matter. So Prabhupada was very thorough looking into the things. You know, some people just considered Prabhupada wanted us to keep the philosophy alive, but I'm amazed at how some devotees thought that they could have known more than Prabhupada. Prabhupada got the degree in chemistry. My son got a degree in chemistry. That's a very hard degree to get. But in protest against the English government, he refused that degree. But what I'm amazed is certain devotees had thought that, well, they knew more than Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was very organized to keep things going. Prabhupada wanted to write the book trust, so he just had some people write up some informal document. He asked if there was an attorney who dealt in trust work. And my mother had already been a trust attorney. She graduated the Stanford University, which is the best university in the West Coast, 27 years before that. So they told Prabhupada that one devotee's mother is a trust attorney. And so Prabhupada had her come, and she wrote up a preliminary document and sent it to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada put questions in there. And so then she went back to meet with Prabhupada and finalized the book trust. So amazingly then, Hansaduta wanted to sue the book trust, and he had Gupta. Gupta asked my mother, he says, I wanted to see what kind of a mess. This is a Prabhupada disciple that you and Prabhupada had made out of the book trust. My mother said, no, there's no chance that either Prabhupada or I made a mess out of the book trust. She said, I had been a trust attorney for 27 years, and I'd only been sued once, and I won the case. And number two, she said, Prabhupada knew exactly what he wanted and understood what she'd done more than her other clients. And her clients were like the Emerald Bay Community Association, which is a community in Laguna Beach, right on the beach. You can't touch any home there for less than 200 million rand. That's the cheap one. And there's some that are maybe 5-10 times that, right? So it's very sophisticated. Other clients owned a whole city. So these people need trusts done. And she said Prabhupada understood more than they had done. Prabhupada was not only a pure devotee, but he had run a business. And another devotee, Karundar, left the movement and came to my mother, and he said, I thought Prabhupada was wrong about not wanting to centralize everything. And my mother said, no, that was the correct way to do it. She said, you should listen to your spiritual master and to the attorney. They both know more than you do. So we have to realize, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that we don't do another person's duty. Even if we think we can do it better, we do our own duty. And it's the spiritual master's duty to run the movement. And the spiritual master had post-college degrees, and so do the attorneys, and yet somehow you think you know more than they do based on what information? Spiritually, materially? How is it that you can convince anybody from the outside, someone that knows nothing? I say we have two individuals here. One has run his own business and is now running a spiritual movement and has degrees. The other person who agrees with him is the attorney who has law degrees and has practiced for, by this time, 40 years. And the other one is the student of this person who didn't finish college, but somehow he disagrees with those people. What would people on the outside say? Well, this person can't be right. Even without knowing Prabhupada's spiritual qualification, this part would be obvious. So Prabhupada, there's a few things that he wanted us to do here. He wanted us to cooperate. Each temple's on its own, because the problem is, if each temple is under one. In Johannesburg, they do something wrong, and they sue the movement and put a bill against Durban. But if each one is separate, then whatever problem the temple causes is not incumbent upon another temple. Right? Much better way to do it. The Johannesburg temple acquired 4 properties. The 4th one there's a big debt on. If somehow they can't pay that debt, can they come after the Durban temple? No. Can they come after the Durban temple for the mortgage we have against this? No, 2 reasons. One is we can't encumber them, and 2, we don't have a mortgage against it. We had some leaders in the past that made things look really good because they had a couple of properties. They took out big loans on these properties and got maybe 3 more properties and are trying, and it looks good. But the trouble is, if you can't finance it all, then you start losing the ones. So we could borrow against this temple and go try to build a separate one, but if we couldn't pay that, then this would be encumbered. So we see by his personal example, Prabhupada is setting the example of how to run the society and how we should cooperate with each other, and how we should also know what Prabhupada's standards are and gently help people to follow them. We have to realize that rather than argue with people, we have to try to help the people improve. So are there any questions or comments? I know people are leaving. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe it's getting late, huh? Any like Bhakti Chaitanya Swami said, any questions, comments, additions, subtractions, chastisements? So Prabhupada says that we should fight with each other every chance we get. We want to take the microphone to Ranga Devi. Where's the microphone?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I'm just curious as to how you got in contact with ISKCON.
How I got in contact with ISKCON. Okay. This is why I talked before about planting the seeds. I went to a music festival a couple years ago. Well, 1967. That's maybe like 5.5 decades ago, right? Is that it? No, more than that. Let's see. 1967, how many years ago is that? It's 57 years ago. Okay. So at the end, they had a bunch of food booths, and the Mystic Arts people had a vegetarian one. And they were singing a song. I said, where did this song come from? They said, oh, it came from a Swami that's on Pico Boulevard. And it was Hare Krishna mantra, and the Swami is Prabhupada. So I chanted with them. I took a step to Krishna. After that, a friend of mine was shooting at animals, and he squished a dove with a rock. And my mother always told me how the dove was a bird of peace. And you see the doves, they stay in a couple, and they never leave each other's side, just like the humans. Even our devotees don't do as well. Some of them do, of course, but not as much as the doves. You see them, so you squish one of them, the other one's going to be despondent. You see one flies in the tree, the other one follows it. You notice that? It's not the pigeon. Pigeon doesn't care about that. So I said, that's a cruel thing to do. And he said, well, you eat meat, don't you? I said, yeah, a lot of us do. He said, well, how many animals do they have to kill for you to eat meat? I said, probably a lot. He said, so am I any worse to kill one more bird? I said, you're right. He said, so it's okay for me to kill the bird? I said, no, I'll never eat meat again. I didn't. So then the people from Mystic Arts had gotten the ideas from devotees that we'd always say, someday for real spiritual life, we have to give up illicit sex and intoxication. But not yet, of course. Like St. Augustine said that, God, make me chaste to you, but don't do it yet. But this seed was planted. So in the bookstore in the Mystic Arts, I would read the book Teachings of Lord Chaitanya that said bhakti just means that we ask God for some way to develop love for him. So I had my meditation rock, and you can see that because on my Facebook page, I'm sitting on that rock. So I would go to this rock and pray for some way to develop love of God. It's still yesterday in America, isn't it? January 5th. Because amazingly enough, on January 5th, which is 54 years ago today, because it's tomorrow in here, right? Or is it yesterday? Anyway, it's still January 5th there, even though it's the 6th here. So I went to my rock on January 5th, 1970, which is 54 years ago, and I'm praying, please God, send me some way to develop love for you. And I get this bolt of lightning feeling that if I want that, I have to give up illicit sex and intoxication. I'm thinking, well, maybe a couple beer parties, maybe a marijuana party, maybe I'll date 2 or 3 more girls from my high school class that I've had my eye on, and I'll give these things up in June. It's just like if you say that you're giving away kilos and gold, and you know what, that's a good idea, I'll contact you in June, right? Or would you just, if it's worth it, you do it now, right? So I'm thinking that's what I'll do after doing those. And then I thought, no, wait a minute. If it's not a good idea, then I shouldn't do it. But if it is, I'm going, boy, this is kind of a tall order, but I'm seeing God is pushing me. It's like the window of opportunity is opening up. Just like tomorrow's Ekadasi, that's a window of opportunity. It's like if you're a surfer and the waves are big and they're breaking right, you get, well, I'll try some other day. The window of opportunity was coming. So I'm thinking, oh, well, this is kind of a big order. I says, okay, God, I will give up illicit sex and intoxication, and you send me some way to develop love for you. And I'm thinking, how long will this take? A week, a month, a year? And I open my eyes, and as far away as the Madunga is as a devotee in saffron. You know, and I'm thinking it's going to be a week, a month, a year, and how will I know? And I'm thinking, Hare Krishna, that's what I'm supposed to do? And he comes up, I said, what are you doing down here? He says, well, we were up, because we were down below, and up a hill there, you come down like maybe 50 steps to the beach. He says, we were on the next beach over, and all of a sudden I had this uncontrollable compulsion to come down to the beach. He says, would you like to come and chant with us? I said, I think that's exactly what I'm supposed to do. So then when I went to the temple, it was, you know, I took a step to Krishna. Well, maybe for a high school kid in the 60s, giving up illicit sex and intoxication is more than one step. But you see, how quickly did Krishna respond? As soon as I opened my eyes, but pushing me because they were at the next hill. If I did it now, I could get the opportunity, right? But if I said later, how much later? A week, a month, a year, 27 lifetimes? So Krishna was pushing at that point because there was some willingness. And what was amazing then, I try not, you pray things to Krishna, like I said, get me out of this cold, I'll never complain about heat. And I got sent to India from freezing to hot. But so one day I was out with the devotees selling books and incense, and I thought, you know what, God, I need one last assurance that this is the right thing. I said, send me someone wearing flowers, like I'm wearing flowers, sometimes the devotee do, and have that person tell me whether what I'm doing is a good thing or not. And then I thought, you know what? I made something too difficult, because we're at a swap meet where, people set up the booths and they must have things like that here, right? Kind of like the Lotus Park, but not with devotees. It was more like people selling their old wares and things. And, nobody's going to come wearing a garland of flowers. I said, I've asked something that God's not going to be able to do. So I thought, well, I shouldn't have asked something that difficult. And finally, there's one monk, he's opening the books, and he's looking at them real intently, and he goes in the next book, and he looks in that, he says, you know what? He says, this is really good stuff. He says, you should keep doing this and dedicate your life to this. And I'm thinking, that's interesting for somebody to just walk up, look at the books, and with like firm, unrestricted conviction, tell me that this is the best thing I should do and I can dedicate my life to this. And I see he's wearing a blue shirt, and it's a patterned shirt with flowers on the shirt. And I instantly got chills because he was wearing flowers, right? A shirt with flowers all over there. I go, oh, okay. I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. And I still remember that look on his face. This is very good stuff. You should keep doing this and dedicate. You know, you wouldn't expect if you had a book table, has anybody come up to you and said that? And obviously someone who'd never seen it before. And I looked around, this person had just had vanished. It was amazing. So that's how it happened. And it was, because it's still the 5th in America, it was 54 years ago today. How about that? Was that a good story? It is my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hare Krishna.